Hello everyone, this is Weather coming at you with another update. In this update, we're talking about a major winter storm with some heavy snow and blizzard-like conditions. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's get started. Here, let's take a look at the overall watches and warnings. And man, the stage is set for this big winter storm that we've been talking about. We got winter weather advisories, winter storm watches all the way through the Ohio Valley, into the mid-Atlantic, and all the way up to the coast, into the Northeast. And we do still have some very heavy rain to deal with in parts of the Northwest, just along the coast, and some heavier snows in the interior regions. So let's kind of delve into it. Let's take a look at the overall surface map and how this is going to play out. And I think I'm even more bullish on this system now than I've ever been. So this is a very dynamic and convective system on the way. And I do feel these places are going to be overperforming with this system. So as we kind of take a look at the overall surface map later on this morning, as of Sunday, the 31st, we still have that snow breaking out. I mean, we're already spots in Chicago, near Chicago, picked up 9 inches of snow already, and they're still expecting several more inches later on today as this snow really starts to get its act together, dumping some snow into Wisconsin, getting into central and southern Michigan, but especially northern interiors of Indiana and getting into Ohio as well. And that snow will start to extend in Virginia and DC, all the way through Baltimore. And then we also have an ice component as well. We has that Arctic air to work with, digging in from the Northeast, and then that'll create that kind of the overriding conditions where we have that warm air intrusion from the south. And unfortunately, that will set up an ice storm for portions of Virginia going into the Carolinas. So as we kind of extend the view throughout the day on Sunday, as we go into Sunday night, we have that initial low that's over the Ohio Valley. That'll tend to start to weaken. And as it weakens, these snows will start to fade over the Ohio Valley, but they'll still pick up some pretty big totals and double-digit totals in this region. But that snow will start to extend into places like Pittsburgh, especially like southern PA. That'll get into Delaware, getting up the coast of Jersey. Then that'll set the stage for a primary low that will form off the coast of Virginia as we get into the overnight into Monday morning. Now the low is set, and so that once this low is formed, that'll bring more snow on the backside for the Ohio Valley, getting into portions of Kentucky now and Tennessee. So those areas are under a winter weather advisory as well, at least portions of them. And even into West Virginia, and that'll get into Virginia. That ice feature will start to die down here, but that'll have a glaze of ice on the road, and then snow on top of it. Just will be treacherous travel conditions as this low really starts to get its act together. And you can see up in the Northwest, I mean, it's mainly really active just along the coast in Washington and Oregon and northern interiors of California, but then heavy snow just on the interior regions of the Northwest, but then pretty much high and dry for a good chunk of the midsection of the country. So let's kind of zoom in to this area that we've been kind of highlighting with this major winter storm. This is when it really starts to get active by getting into Monday, and especially Monday night. So here's the setup. We got the low pressure off the Northeast coast. I mean, just really digging and pumping up ample amount of moisture from the south. And we've got a lot of warm sea surface temperatures just along the coast. So then we'll start to feel the effects of that anticyclonic flow, dumping those heavier precipitation rates inland. And we'll start to see those heavier snow bands really start to train and kind of set up over Jersey, getting into Long Island, getting in just the coastal regions of the Northeast into southern PA. And that's when I do feel the heavier snows are really going to start to get its act together. Here is the 700 millibar of the cyclonic vorticity index. I mean, this shows you the big picture of how this system is, how very dynamic it is. We've got a huge jet digging all the way down And that'll pump up and dig in from that Gulf moisture, transferring that Atlantic moisture. Look at all this precipitation it's got to work with. It almost goes vertical. And as this low has hung off the coast, the anticyclonic flow will just pump moisture inland. And these bandings, you have convective banding set up along the baroclinic zone. And where this zone sets up, you could be seeing 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates transfer to 2 and 4 inch snowfall rates as we go into later on the day, especially as we get into the overnight. As we get into the overnight, man, it really starts to bomb out. And we're talking, we literally could be seeing, like I said, 3 to possibly 4 inch per hour snowfall rates. The only uncertainty right now is where this convective banding literally trains over the area, as this tends to kind of slow, if not stall, for a certain period of time before this starts to get going, lifting off to the northeast. But right along this zone of like southern PA, Jersey, getting into, say, New York City, I mean, this is going to be some very heavy snowfall rates and for an extended period of time as we go throughout the day, getting into the evening, especially into the overnight on Monday, because we'll have a lot of ample moisture to work with. And you can see the darker blues by then really start to take shape and start to set up. This is some very heavy snow that's somewhat training over the same areas for an extended period of time. So that's when we can really start to pick up some of these double-digit snowfall totals in a big way, and then lighter amounts on the backside into Virginia and still extending into Ohio. So, I mean, even Ohio is going to be picking up a good chunk of, 8, 10, 12 inches in spots, no question, from this system. But even into Tuesday, as we go into overnight on Tuesday, going into Tuesday morning, we still have that anticyclonic flow to work with. It'll be inland now, but there's always a backside of the system. And then that will extend and dump in more snow over the same areas that got it on the first round. So this whole area has a tendency of overperforming what even the models say, even some of the most bullish models say at this given time. And then as it continues to lift off to the northeast, again, we'll be dumping some very heavy snow and just right along, southern PA, getting into, say, Pittsburgh will start to die off by then, but this is be your prime spot for heavier snows along this, right along this area, as this will continue moving across. And again, the vorticity index has that backside system dumping heavier snow into Delaware by then, southern Jersey. So we've got a big system and a long duration event on the table from this system. The system back in December, there were a lot of times that system overperformed because of the baroclinic zone banding, convective banding that's set up overnight. This has a lot of the same characteristics where we could pick up some very heavy snowfall totals, 10 to 1, 12 to 1, 15 1 to inch snowfall ratios for an extended period of time with this very dynamic convective system that is on the way. And as this continues moving into Tuesday night, we'll still be dealing with some moderate snows and portions inland now as we go into Vermont, New Hampshire, especially some of the heavier snows now extending into Maine as well. And it's really not until Wednesday morning, going into the day on Wednesday afternoon, where it really starts to just kind of die down. So, I mean, we're talking a good 36 to 48 hour window where we could be picking up snow along that time frame. And here's your wind swath over between, say, Sunday to Wednesday. These are your gusts. That's why I feel like at times, especially Monday night, we could be dealing with blizzard-like conditions, because these are some of the peak wind gusts as that low pressure nears the coast. We could be easily seeing 40, 50, upwards to almost 60 mile per hour gust and sustained at 35 to 40. So easily blizzard-like conditions. This is dumping that heavier snows and just blowing out all that snow around. So it's just going to be just, almost whiteout conditions at times. Is probably not out of the questions in certain spots as we go in overnight on Monday. And here's some of your snowfall totals. I mean, here's your latest European model. Again, it shows a good swath of 8, 10, 12 inches all along this banding where this trains across the Ohio Valley And as we get into portions of Pittsburgh, these places down here in Virginia, Baltimore, DC, I'm expecting like 6 to 10 inches of snowfall, and DC is easily on the table. Places into Pittsburgh, 8, 10 is probably easy on the table. You start getting to your higher amounts as we go into southern PA, especially eastern PA, where those bear clinic banding, training snow squalls will start to set up over this region. I mean, some of these areas are highlighting 20 inches, but this area has it, well, somewhere in southern PA and Jersey, someone's getting 30 inches from this snow. I can't exactly tell you who it's gonna be, but there will be a 30-inch spot coming out of this system somewhere along this area, and then heavier snow totals in your bigger cities. Philly, 12 to 18 inches. New York City, again, 12, 14, 16 inches. It's not out of the question from this system. Boston, again, another foot. So some of the heavier snowfall totals will be along the coast, and even extending into Maine as we go throughout the day on Tuesday. And look at the liquid precipitation we have to work with this system. I mean, a good 1 inch in the Ohio Valley, 10 to 1 ratio, that's 10 inches easily. Over here where the reds are, that's 2 inches of liquid precipitation. So we have an ample supply of precipitation to work with. And so, even on a 10 to 1, that's 20 inches. So, I mean, not, even if 75% of this is going to be snow, I mean, you've got a lot of snow to work with. The capability of what's in the atmosphere could pick up some pretty big totals in a big way from this system. But unfortunately, there was going to be an ice component from this system, at least at the start, down south by Virginia, going into the Carolinas, and especially get into West Virginia. So there's going to be a pocket where you're going to have to be dealing with power outages and possibly down power lines from this area from the ice. And then you'll have the snow on top of that on the backside, especially as we get northward. But yeah, here's your latest NAM. I mean, it's even a little bit more bullish. And like I mentioned, this area right here is going to have a tendency to overperform in some of these locations. So I'm definitely expecting a big event from this system. And as we kind of expand the view and kind of show you the whole country over the next several days through Wednesday, there's your bullseye for the Ohio Valley in the Northeast. And again, some of your heavier snows will be just inland for the Northwest, and then just kind of high and dry for the midsection of the country over the next several days through midweek. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.